Kempire is brought to you by. Do you know how important it is to rate and review a podcast? Rate and review the Kempire podcast today. 5 stars. Let us know what you love about the podcast. Rate and review the Kempire podcast on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Did you know that you can watch the Kempire channel on YouTube, Facebook, and on Twitter? Follow us on all of our platforms. More information on our YouTube, our Blue Sky, our Twitter, aka X, and more socials, and every way that you can support us will be available in the episode notes. You're listening to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio Network. Happy St. Patrick's Day, guys. Welcome back to the Kempire Channel, your number one source for pop culture news and music, entertainment, reality TV, and so much more. As always, be sure to like the video. It's easy. It's free. Shout out to those of you that have already liked the video. 160 of you have already liked the video, but we already have over 200 of you watching. Liking the video doesn't just support my channel. It supports other people's channel. Like yourself, you might be a content creator recapping Real Housewives of Atlanta, and you're here to get some ideas. It's okay. Like the video. This way that people will find your video. People will find your channel. As you know, we don't just talk about Real Housewives or just reality television here. We talk about everything in pop culture. So be sure to subscribe. Be sure to turn on your notifications so you don't miss out on anything. Happy St. Patrick's Day to those that celebrate. Happy Monday to those that celebrate. It's a rainy, foggy day here in New York City. I don't mind a rainy day. As long as I don't have to be out in it, commuting or doing errands, I'm okay with a rainy day. Do I want to be here working? Well, I don't mind it because I get to kiki and laugh with all of you guys. I actually love my job. Okay. Mm-hmm. You fix the camera. Here we go. Just saying. And even if you don't necessarily love your job, find something that you love about your job. Maybe it's your coworkers. Remember, I used to work for corporate America. I didn't always I did like my job though. But I always would come in with a positive attitude. I would look for something that I enjoyed or liked. If it was a good kiki with friends or coworkers or another department, I would find that thing. All right. So I know a lot of you get the Sunday night blues and you're like, oh, I got to go to work tomorrow. I get it. I understand. But you can't change it right now, right? So why, God forbid, this could be your last week on earth. Damn. But if it was, would you want it to be like, here we go? Well, make the most of what you have right now. All right? Lord. I just was talking to the IRS. It's tax season. Come on. But I'm going to make the most of it. Okay? I pay my taxes. You pay your taxes. Everybody, it's due April. Come on now. Okay. Anyway, so the Real Housewives of Atlanta, season 16, episode 2. Look, based off all the promo and all the interviews and all the drama, I was like, wait, this is only the second episode? But compared to the premiere episode, how would you guys rate this week's episode from 1 to 10? I think this episode was a lot better, maybe because we're starting to get to know the other women. And I told you I was coming to the season with an open mind. Although I was not excited about this new season, I wanted to come in with an open mind and an open heart, right? Okay. But this week's episode, if I had to rate it, it was definitely better. I don't remember what I rated the premiere. I think I gave the premiere episode like a 6.5 or something like, or 7. I would give this second episode maybe like an 8. I thought the second episode was better. Will this hold me for the rest of the season? We'll see. Again, if you follow me on Twitter or on Blue Sky or X, whatever you want to call Twitter, I said Bravo's going to regret keeping Kenya Moore in. Look, I am not justifying anything that Kenya Moore did this season to Brittany Edie at all. We went on a whole conversation about what Kenya Moore did. But I said, she wasn't around enough for them to have to keep her in. Again, which also said to me, like, does this mean they don't really have a lot, the fact that they kept in the Kenya stuff? Or did they keep the Kenya stuff in because it was all over the blogs and Team Toro be even more upset if they edited her out? It could be a combination of all of that, okay? But having Kenya there, be active, give the Kenya energy, it is sort of like, damn, so we're not going to get Kenya the rest of the season. We're not getting Kenya more confessionals. Just the fact that Kenya is giving us interesting conversation and shade in these scenes and no confessionals, it does stand out to me. If you're Team Toro, if you're not Team Toro, maybe you're not even a fan of Kenya, but having Kenya there, it's sort of like, we have her, but we don't have her. We have her, but we don't have her. But okay, we'll get back to the Kenya. So, Shamia's birthday party. I did just literally watch the Entertainment Tonight got a tour of Shamia's $9 million home, because apparently that is, everyone says, we want women of money and luxury, and that's never important to me. Yes, I like seeing the luxury. I love a home decor. Okay. I love looking at people's homes. But the emphasis on, oh, they have to have money. They have to have a, big, beautiful, expensive house. The emphasis on that, for me, it's getting a little tired, because yes, we want that. But what we really want is someone that's entertaining. And I'm not saying that Shamia isn't. What I'm saying is everyone's focus. You keep saying, oh, we want the money. We want the money. No, you want to be entertained. You want big, funny personalities, not just the big, luxurious lifestyle. There are plenty of people with big, luxurious lifestyles that are boring. So let's kind of get away from saying, oh, we want these exactly authentic, as Realistic Mother says on TikTok. We want an emphasis on that. I just want to say that. But I did get to see Shamia's home. Yeah, it's a big, beautiful home. Okay. All right, let me start off. So we're at Shamia's birthday party, which Shamia said this was the first time she's actually had people had a party in the home, which to me was sort of yeah, she's a Taurus. Makes complete sense. Oh, I meant to someone posted all of their astrological signs, and I wanted to talk about it, but I don't have it with me. But I wanted to talk about, we could do this at another time, or maybe a separate live, like our casual lunch lives that we've been doing. So stay tuned for that. Dina says, I like Charles Oakley. We need more of that. I think people are going to judge Charles Oakley harshly. And rightfully so, if you know his basketball career and the drama, blah, blah, blah. I feel like there are a lot of y'all in similar relationships, and y'all don't judge y'all relationships the way y'all judging Angela and Charles. For me, I kind of look at them like, I can see them as two equals. We'll get back to them. I want to stay focused, because we do have that scene with them at home. All right. So, as you know, last week's episode of the Real Housewives of Atlanta ended with Portia confronting Drew about her relationship with Dennis. Dennis is so thirsty. I saw Shamia on Watch What Happens Live last night, and she was talking about he recently reached out to her about doing a movie, because apparently now he's into movies. And look, y'all know a lot of men like Dennis in Atlanta that does all the different things. He's a serial entrepreneur. There's nothing wrong with him being a serial entrepreneur. But is he actually good at any of it? That is a question. We shall see. I mean, the songs that I heard from Drew weren't bad. So I don't know if he's writing and producing the songs himself, or if he's just the label head. I don't know. But it doesn't hurt for him to work with Drew. She's on this platform. She has a name. She actually can sing. Okay. But she says, Shamia said on Watch What Happens Live that Dennis reached out to her about doing this movie and being in this movie, and she left him on red. Shamia, again, I always remind you, astrological sign. Shamia is a Taurus, but I think Shamia sometimes is too loyal to Portia. Too loyal. Because I'm literally watching season 10 with the whole Shamia and Portia of it all, and how bad Portia was not a friend to her. And I'm not surprised. Cancer. You saw how I brought that around and came back into that. Yep. Mm-hmm. But she's so... There's one thing about being loyal, and there's another thing about being stupid. I'm not calling her stupid. What I'm saying is... Oh, maybe I am. But no, what I'm saying is she's too loyal to Portia. And she's too loyal to a person that doesn't deserve it. That is the problem. And I'm telling you, it's worth going... Look, Bravo, run me up a check, because... Go back to season 10 of The Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I'm not sure how these two were able to make it back to where they made it back to as friends. I was happy for them. They grew up with each other. Fine. But the fact that we are literally seeing an energy from Portia that still isn't respectful of Shamia, like her birthday party, you're 3 hours late. I don't give a rat's you know what about traffic. Then leave early. Leave early. So you remember Portia could not film in her home because of Simon. Okay, can I do a conspiracy theory? Y'all know I usually love cancer women, but Portia's the worst of them all. But I'm not surprised. Anyway, focus. Can y'all focus? Can I give you all a theory? Just a conspiracy theory. As I was watching this, I said, I don't know if this was just perfect timing, but I said either NBC Universal, Bravo, or Portia, or Phaedra. They concocted a plan to make sure that Ice got Simon, because now, as the season's airing, Simon can't be on social media talking about Portia or saying Portia's lying. Because he's locked up, they won't let him out. They won't let him out. Ow. Like, he can't say anything. She could say whatever she wants on this show. She's denied this. I will say this. Portia Peach Juice Williams, sometimes Gobadia, allegedly, has denied calling Ice on him. She's like, I would never do that. Da, 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 da. But then I said to myself, maybe it was just the perfect timing of it all. It could have been just the perfect timing. You know, the era that we're living in, okay? But if this was really a concocted plan, brilliant. Now he's locked up without any internet and he can't do anything. And all they need him is locked up for 3 months. 3 months. He could come back out and say whatever he wants, but by then we've moved on. And then he still has to catch up because he can't watch Peacock in jail in the entertainment. Okay. So he can't say anything right now. That was just my conspiracy theory. The way April says, not Jesus be a visa. Who said that in the chat? Thea said, whoo, concocted plan. I had that thought watching the second episode. I said, especially hearing what Portia's been saying about him, the scene that she filmed with Kenya later on in this episode, all the things that she said about Simon, because if Simon wasn't locked up, detained, whatever, she talked about the private, okay, I'm jumping around. It's my review, whatever. She talked about the plane being surrounded by police. She talked about Simon saying, I didn't know I was in a car that was stolen and I didn't know it. Portia, the signs were the red flags, okay? The Nigerian red flags were slapping you in the face and you still said, I'm going to marry him. I don't feel sorry for Portia. You had so many opportunities. People learn from this. When people show you who they are the first time, believe them. Learn from this. Not the plane being surrounded, not having to go into the line 2, the second line. All right? You know what? Mr. Melon Badger says, Kemp, I tagged Ice in one of his posts. I believe you did do that, Mr. Melon Magic. Messy. Or maybe you're working with Portia or the network. Maybe. All right, let me focus. So Portia confronts Drew. And she says that Drew is a low-down individual. Okay, before we get to that, Shamia decides to ask Drew. People around town have been saying that they've seen you and Dennis boot up and in matching outfits. Wait, matching outfits? Who, what, where? Okay. So Portia then says, she had been invited to this birthday party, but she said, I had just taken off my makeup. She was not trying to go anywhere. And then she saw pictures of Drew not looking herself. Everyone was like, what? Not looking herself, looking washed. Portia tried to make it, put a little sugar on it. I was like, Portia, no. A Real Housewife is going to let that, even though you may have not meant that shady, a Real Housewife is going to let it sound like shade. I didn't mean it as shade, but if we want to run with it, yeah, you were looking washed. Drew was like, yeah, I didn't have any makeup. First of all, Drew, you can't just help but lie. You clearly had makeup on, but you also didn't look washed. Maybe you looked a little washed out just because of the hair and the makeup and the outfit. She did look a little washed out. But it's not like she didn't look good. All right. So, hold on. East Awesome. Hold on. Where did your comment go? East Awesome says, "What the hell? Cancers are great friends and loyal. Come on, not my experience. Not my experience. But okay, we'll run with that. Everyone chime in. Not my experience, but okay. If that's what you want to say, if that's what you want to believe. Now, a Taurus, we're seeing it clearly, but maybe we're sometimes too loyal, Shamia. So Shamia brings up the fact that the word on the street, people are talking about Drew and Dennis's relationship, that they're looking booed up, okay, in matching outfits, okay? Portia talked about reaching out to Drew because she was looking washed, okay? Portia says that she doesn't care about Drew and Dennis having any sort of relationship. She says, according to Drew, in regards to their relationship, she says that Dennis reached out to her because after she had hosted after Tamar Braxton's, she had opened for Tamar Braxton and she hosted this event. And that's when Dennis came to her with a professional pitch. Okay. Dennis came to her with a professional pitch about doing music with her. This is Atlanta. Okay. And I know people have said she could have worked with this producer. And she's said in a later scene that she's worked with some really, legends in the business and it didn't work out for her. There are so many producers in Atlanta that aren't necessarily legendary producers, but are great producers. Atlanta is the mecca, okay, of music. Specifically like the type of music that she's trying to do, R&B music. So I just can't with Drew. Drew wakes up and chooses lies every day. And word on the street, allegedly, production knows it too. Lies! The lie! That's on a word on the street. Production knows that Drew lies all the time. They don't believe her either. Allegedly. She wakes up every morning and says, "What lie can I say today?" But that could be said about Portia too. I told you these two are going to have a lie off this season, and we're going to be less like, what is going on? Look, what? What? All right, moving on. So she said he presented her a professional pitch. Okay, I wonder what that looked like. But okay. Dennis told Drew that he had told Portia that he was going to be working with Drew. Drew, at some particular point, says that, Dennis has been my angel on earth. Okay. And everyone is just reacting. Remember, this is in front of the entire group. So everyone's reacting. I'm looking at Kenya. I'm looking at the newbies. And everyone's just like, Drew, what are you saying? What? Angel on earth? Kelly's just like, girl, Kelly can't understand how Drew is so calm. Because Portia is just coming at her and saying, you are a low down, dirty individual. Kelly can't understand. In her confession, she's just so calm about it. She's not denying anything. She's not saying, I did not sleep with your man. Portia says she doesn't care if they are together. Okay. Portia asked production, can we break the fourth wall? And they're like, break it. Okay. So she's broken the fourth wall a lot in episode 2 of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, Portia. All right. Apparently, the song that Drew recorded was something that Dennis wrote that was about him and Portia. Okay. So Portia then goes to say that Drew is a low-down, dirty individual. She claims that Drew was trying to film with Dennis behind her back. So here's the thing. Because Portia is not making a complete sense. Because what exactly are you mad about? Are you mad about her filming with Dennis? Or are you mad about her doing the go naked photo shoot? Maybe she's mad about both. Could be. So she says that Drew is doing all kind of sneaky behavior behind the scenes. And here's the problem. I get where Portia's coming from. Because remember, Portia's coming into the season thinking that she's going to be Mrs. Simon Gobadia. But that plan has turned around. All right? So she might need Dennis to be a part of her storyline. She might need Dennis to be that man in her life as a part of her storyline. So I can see her being upset and annoyed by Drew trying to use him as her storyline and film with her. But there's the other aspect of, yes, I don't want my baby's father to be on this show. I don't want him to have this platform. God forbid something happens with us and he's going to say all kinds of crazy stuff on camera. She doesn't want him to be a part of the show. I get it. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at Porsha for feeling. Porsha is not able to really explain herself in this particular moment. They show multiple confessionals about her reaction as to why she doesn't like that Dennis might be filming with Drew. And production was sort of like, are you mad because you're so close with Porsha? And she's like, no, it ain't even that deep. She's like, it's not even that deep. So I do think it's a combination of things. I think it's because Porsha wants that option of choosing when Dennis can film, meaning with her. I understand that. It makes complete sense. It also makes sense to me that Drew would do something like this. I told you, go back to when Candace was talking about Drew on Real Housewives of Potomac, and she wouldn't get into the details of what Drew did, but she said Drew went behind her back and worked with someone, I guess within her team. She didn't get to the details, so it's hard to decipher. What I deciphered was the fact that Drew can be underhanded. We already knew that, though. We already knew Drew is underhanded. Which I'm so kind of shocked by because that's not, like, Shamia gives Taurus in a lot of ways. Like, loyal behavior. Like, Shamia wouldn't do something like that. Drew? Trifling. Real trifling. Okay. But at the same time, I don't know. We'll get to it because there's more that I want to say about Porsha. But Porsha then says the other thing that bothered her, because you can see Kenya's reacting. Kenya is saying, even though she's made up with Porsha, Kenya's still going to speak her mind. She's like, it seems like you're bothered about their relationship. It seems like you're more bothered by that. As if you still have a thing for Dennis. And when you see Dennis and Porsha together, there still is some sexual energy, right? Did you guys notice that? There is like, yeah, I'll circle the block again. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that he would. You see what Dennis looked like, right? But maybe Portia's like, she's looking for a new benefactor. I don't know. Okay, fine. So Porsha says the other thing that bothered her was the fact. Here's the thing, because some of y'all don't understand this because you don't do this, all right? She's annoyed that Drew tried to film a photo shoot for Go Naked Hair for the show. So for those that don't understand, like my partnership with Buttah, before I release that video to you guys, I have to get approval so that it touches all the bases with the brand. And usually that's in your contract. Some contracts are very specific about you can't put anything out without our prior approval. So I completely understand when Porsha says that's weird. That is weird. But the other thing here that we have to consider is that Drew wanted to do this for the show. It wasn't like Drew was just holding a photo shoot and she was going to put it out. She wanted to film it for someone else's brand. But if you remember, Drop It with Drew, everyone was like, are you an ambassador or are you an owner? Okay? Because remember, that was a little murky too. Were you an owner? We don't even know where Drop It with Drew is now. Drop It with Drew is dropped? Not sure. But for those that don't understand, as a brand ambassador, Porsha said, you are an influencer. What are you doing? And I don't know if it's in Drew's contract or if there is a contract with Drew and Porsha, but that is clearly stated usually, not always. I've done a lot of different brand partnerships. Some brands are do it whatever way that you want. Just make sure you hit these key points. I feel that the fact that Drew wanted to film this as if this was her brand, that is weirdo behavior. I don't care how anyone feels about Porsha or Drew. That is weird. That probably is against her contract. So I completely get it. Why would you want to film for a brand that you don't own? Yes, you are an ambassador, but even that has to be pre-approved. If you had talked with Porsha about doing that, then I could understand. But clearly you did not talk about it. But are we surprised? Drew has been a weirdo in a lot of ways over the years since we've gotten to know her. We didn't know that this was the type of person she was until she was on this show. So that is weird. It's weird that you want to film it for Real Housewives of Atlanta because clearly you have nothing else. That's probably, this is what it's giving. Drew has nothing else, so she's trying to film with now I believe everything. That you were trying to film with Dennis behind Portia's back, and that you were also trying to film for a brand that you don't own. And the person that's on it, again, maybe if the person wasn't on the show, I could understand. But the owner is on the show and you did not get prior approval. Look, Team Portia. Team Peach Juice over here. Twerk, 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 twerk. I'm turning into Shamia. All right. So they have that moment. It gets really heated and Drew does not seem fazed. I mean, her level of delusion should be studied. Her level of just not caring. I'm just like, I wish I could. I wish I could. In a lot of ways. So they take the elevator, yes, down to the pool for a jump into the pool. So apparently Kenya left before that. But Shamia wants to jump into the pool. They jump into the pool. That was a lot of people in her house. Anyway, like that didn't seem, I was just like, this is a lot of people in my house. Did she have security to make sure? I know it's friends and fam, but that was a lot of people in her house. So they gather around the pool. She says, like, I want to jump in my pool. And she jumps in the pool and then they spray the foam. Okay. Are you guys entertained? Did you love it? Yeah, sure. Jump in the pool. Portia's in the pool. She's throwing up her friend. Shamia comes out. Twerk, twerk, twerk. All right. All right, let's move to the next scene. Angela and Charles Oakley at home. Let me tell you something, and a lot of people have said this before. I'm going to reiterate it. Yes, I think Angela probably would have fit in with the original Real Housewives of Atlanta. She just gives that same energy, and then when you find out that she has her own money, first of all, I don't know about the kid situation. Charles' son, how old is Charles' son? How long have they been together? So they also have a young child together, as a 7-year-old together. How old is Charles' son? Just asking. What happened there? Charles definitely gives like he's going to be interesting and entertaining because he don't care about those cameras. So we get to see Angela's daughter Angela's daughter is like 24 years old. They only share one kid together. Okay. But we get to learn a little bit more about Angela. Angela has worked, she has like a financial consulting firm. She is a self-made millionaire. She's working on 5 homes that she's renovating and wanting to sell. So I appreciate, at least with the newbies, they all have their own. Anyone else? I found that to be refreshing. Like, yes, this is called Real Housewives, but this is not, a wealth that they have gained and built with their partner. They had their own wealth coming into a relationship. I was like, okay, all right, Angela. So she says, I was a self-made millionaire. She talks about meeting Charles like 10 years before. He got her number then, didn't call her for 10 years. They reunited because they lived in the same condominium, which they already said to me, oh, so they're of the same level of money. I'm assuming, especially when she says she's a self-made millionaire, and that's how they reconnected. I think this couple is one to watch. I know people are judging the way that Charles Oakley is, but if you know his history, I'm not surprised. But I also love the authenticity. Like, he's not going to change for those cameras. And I was just like, oh, okay. But I also think, although he seems a little crotchety and grumpy, look, the Todd father on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is grumpy too. What makes it different here? I'm here for it. I want to see how this will play out. Okay. Because I don't necessarily get fake from Angela either. But again, Angela, Taurus. Okay. Michael Jackson knows and everything. That's the only fake thing on her. Well, maybe. It's okay, Angela. You know what you got. Okay. All right. See, Bella says Charles is a good OG husband replacement. Yeah, because he's going to speak his mind. Literally, we see in the premiere episode, he's telling his wife, and I know some people thought it was shady. No, You want your partner to tell you your wig is lifting. I don't want you looking crazy out here on national television. Good. And as a Taurus, I'm sure Angela appreciated the honesty. Like, he wasn't embarrassing me. I was like, let me go. Sure, so yes, this show has 3 Tauruses. How lucky are we? There's only 2 that we like, though. Drew, sorry. Not sorry. I like Drew. I told you I met Drew at BravoCon, but I just don't like the constant lying. That's why I wish I had their charts in front of me, because we're going to have to do another live talking about their astrological signs. Let me say thank you, because we have quite a few super chats, guys. You can also support the channel just by liking today's video. It's easy, it's free. And don't forget, you can hear our live recaps on the Kempire podcast, on Apple Podcasts, and on Spotify. And don't forget, we recently launched Club Kempire as a part of our special Apple paid subscription. That's where we're talking about the White Lotus. We talked about the Traders. I also dropped some Real Housewives of Beverly Hills tea as well there. Join Club Kempire today. There is a free 3-day trial that we extended just for this week. So be sure to check that out and get a little taste of what's going on over there. All right. Thank you so much, Sierra, for the super chat. Sierra says, Kemp, we just don't want the Gina from OC. We want to see rich but fun. Exactly. Like, we need both. Okay. And honestly, we have to remember, when Atlanta started, some of these women weren't uber rich. They were well-to-do. They were probably like upper middle class. So I'm okay with upper middle class, but I still want personality. Thank you, Sierra, for the super chat. We appreciate the support. The Girls Club, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. She says, when I heard that Simone was Simone. Do you mean that on purpose? Simone was detained. I, for one, thanked God that he wouldn't be doing this messy recaps. I agree. Like, I just couldn't stand him on social media. Miss Esquire, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Miss Esquire says, when people show somebody else who they are, believe them. Maybe how he treated another person is how they might treat you. We were saying that when all that was playing out, no matter how we felt about Fallon, who's also a Taurus, we were saying, pay attention to how messy he's being on social media with Fallon. That is how he's going to be with you. And that's before they even got married. Delon, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. He says, I may have to cap for Portia. People aren't understanding towards Portia because of her past. They're choosing not to be objective. Drew is sneaky. Exactly. And this is why I say be team yourself, because these are the moments where, yes, we don't necessarily love Portia or what Portia has done in the past. However, she has some points. Why are you filming with my baby's father? This is not just my ex. And look, and shout out to Cynthia Bailey. Cynthia Bailey, and I've said this time and time again, people love to say that Cynthia is boring. No, she's not. Especially when you look at her confessionals over the years. Her confessionals, just narrating what's going on in this group, I'm like, okay, at least this is sort of like a throwback to what we love about Atlanta. We still got a little bit of that, but can you imagine if we also had Kenya's? No matter how you feel about Kenya, can you imagine Kenya's reaction to the Porsha and the Drew of it all? Okay. So I'm sort of like, I want both. I'm greedy. Fine. I'm a Taurus. Give me it all. Like, I want Cynthia's reactions. I want Kenya's reactions. Elizabeth RN, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Elizabeth says, I think Portia sees herself in Drew a little. Like lying? You think? I wonder. Ariel, thank you so much for the super chat. Ariel says, Drop It with Drew was a brand ambassador thing. The gym she was going to is a part of another guy's brand, whose gym I went to in Oklahoma as well. His name is Travis Garza. I think we found that out back then when we were trying to decipher what exactly is Drop It with Drew. But remember, the cast was sort of like, do you own it? Do you not own it? So Drop It with Drew is no longer in existence, I guess. Because my thing is, even when you're a brand ambassador, you don't have a whole name, like a whole name to the situation. You know what I mean? That'd be sort of like me saying, Buttah Skin by Kempire. You know what I mean? Like they might not, certain brands might not mind that. And clearly Drop It with Drew, the brand, did not mind that, but it's still kind of weird. RC, thank you so much for the super chat. RC says, Drew is extremely talented, but the way she moves tells me why she's not more successful in the industry. There we are. And there it is. Thank you, RC. There it is. And that's something I've said over the years about a lot of your faves. I never tell you the specifics, but I tell you, if you knew how they do business behind the scenes or how their team does business, and you always wonder, oh, they're so underrated. And look, there are plenty of people that are underrated and they have fabulous teams behind the scenes. Shout out to Shamia. I'm going to name one because when you have a good example, she's amazing. Team's amazing. She's talented, underrated. But there are plenty of people that have had some success, and you're like, why don't they still have that success? Because their teams are a mess. They are a mess. But you're right. This might be part of the reason. Leah, thank you so much. Oh, I never seen Leah spelled like this. Am I pronouncing it correctly? Leah, thank you so much for the super chat. Leah says, Charles Oakley's son is 11. Previous relationship, Angela Oakley's daughter is 24, and her son, Avon, is 11. Then they share a daughter together. Also, Drew is sneaky. I need Kenya to have a confessional. Okay, so that's making more sense in regards to, because remember, she named all the kids, and I was like, okay, wait, I'm trying to keep up with the timeline of it all. So there was no overlap. That's what you're trying to say, Leah. There was no overlap in their relationship. I think because she mentioned that they had met 10 years before, but they didn't get together for 10 years after that. Just to kind of clear that up. Thank you so much, Leah. All right, let's move on. Damn, I really digressed. I apologize. I'm back. But that was a perfect segue, Leah. Thank you. In regards to Angela and Charles at home. So Charles is cooking. So apparently, Charles, why can't you have white wine in the States? He's like, that's something when you drink it, you drink that abroad? What does that mean? All right, fine. So she talks about her own career and how she is building these 5 different homes, renovating these 5 different homes, how she's a self-made millionaire. She talks about her relationship with Charles Oakley. He's in the kitchen cooking. She's updating her daughter on what went down at this party. He's reacting. Apparently she worked with one of her exes because they talked about that. This is what I appreciate about Charles, because he's going to be himself. All right? He's going to be himself, regardless of cameras being there or not. He's perfect reality television because he's not going to, be anything but himself. So I was sort of like, okay. So he's listening and reacting. The pots are getting loud. I kind of like their vibe together. Could it be my vibe? I don't know. I feel like if I date a Virgo, this is what the vibe would look like. He's not a Virgo, though. He's a Sagittarius. So I told you, I don't know about a Taurus and a Sagittarius, but you also have to look at the rest of her birth chart. She seems like she can handle him, and she gets him. She loves him, though. Christopher says that he didn't like her gossiping. Probably. That's why you got to gossip when he's not in the room. I just like seeing him cook, and apparently he's a good cook, and he likes to cook. All right, Angela's got it made. Angela's got the money, the honey, and a cook. All right. Thank you guys so much for the love on my t-shirt. Wait, so y'all can see my lucky charm. I'm feeling lucky today. Happy St. Patrick's Day to those that celebrate. All right, let's talk about this Kenya and Portia scene. We already saw the picture of Kenya and Portia hanging out when this happened, okay? So they meet up, they revisit, they show, the edit. They show all the issues that Kenya and Portia have had over the years. They finally come together. They both look really cute. Both look very springy, which is like perfect for this time of the year, even though it wasn't filmed this time of the year. Or maybe it was. No, it was in May. So it wasn't too long. It was like, damn, this is a long time ago that we're watching this scene. Wow. All right. Moving on. So they talk about their kids. Portia talks about in her confessional, yeah, we've had our issues, but we're grown. It's like, we're mothers now. And we already kind of saw that happening before Portia ended up leaving. Okay, that these two were kind of finding their way of getting along. Do I think that it would have lasted? I think it would have lasted for season 16. I don't think that it would have lasted forever. Can we be honest? I don't think that it would have lasted forever. I don't think that it would. I just think they're very different people. And you saw it during Shamia's birthday party. Kenya was sort of like calling Portia out for like, okay, girl, you look like you're more upset about her working with Dennis than anything. So I don't think that it would have lasted. I don't know if it would have gotten to the places that it's been before, but I don't think that it would have lasted. Deisha says that he's a Scorpio. No, he's not. He was born like December 8th. I looked it up, y'all. It's like born December, like in the teens. So he's a Sagittarius. Maybe he got Scorpio energy, though. Who knows? So then they end up, Portia talks about the situation with Drew, okay, and what set her off with Drew. And the biggest thing for Portia, she says to Kenya, is the fact that she tried to film with Dennis, okay? Again, again, this would have been a perfect opportunity for Kenya to chime in her confessionals to share her real thoughts, but we didn't get that from this scene, okay? Which probably will save Kenya from getting into it with the ladies. I do think because Kenya has not had any confessionals this season, that she should be invited to the reunion. I think we all can agree. Team twirl or team whatever, okay? I think we can all agree that Kenya should be invited to the reunion. If you're going to keep this in, we need to hear her side. It's only fair. If it's going to be discussed at the reunion, come on. You kept it in the season. We need to hear Kenya's side. And maybe that will open up the door for Kenya to return in season 17. But some of you I don't want that either. Apparently, they thought she was unnecessary to keep her in. And when you see her in, you're like, I need it. But again, I think confessionals, they missed an opportunity by not including her in confessionals. But I get it. As a former HR professional, it's a difficult situation that you're in. How do I bring you back after this situation? And again, I know they had an investigation. I don't know what the resolution of the investigation was. I think based on what we heard, Kenya did not agree with the way that they handled the investigation. So I don't know if she participated. I don't know if she sat down with them, but we'll see. But by keeping her in, I think they're only making people want Kenya more. Oh, you said what I just did there? Yeah. Guys, we have over 2,300 of you watching on multiple platforms. Shout out to those of you watching on Twitch and Twitter, those of you watching on TikTok, those of you watching on Facebook and on YouTube. We appreciate you guys being here. And shout out to our replay crew. We haven't forgotten about you guys as well. So, Portia, this is where Portia tells us a little bit more about what she's been going through with Simon. And this is where she drops more information about the private jet being surrounded by police. Her talking about him saying he didn't know that he was in a stolen car. Everything about Simon gives sus. But you still said, I'm going to marry this man. Literally leading up to their wedding. Their wedding had to be delayed because Simon refused to give the information for the prenuptial agreement, like his bank statements and things like that. He refused to give that information. So it delayed their multiple weddings. Okay? And the signs were there, but Portia just refused to see them for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't know what her intention was, especially if you think the money is funny. If the money is funny, why would you stay in a situation, because everyone claims that she only got into it because she wanted money. But if his money's funny, right? And I wonder if these situations happened after they were married or before they were married. I'm assuming they happened. You were going in that second line. That would have already been my. You know how we talk about in relationships certain things that you should think about, like when you have your list of things like good credit, physical certain thing. One of the other things should be like, you got TSA pre-check, you got global entry. Because you both love to travel. So you got global entry. You don't? Oh, how about, are you open to getting it? Why don't you have it? And it might be because maybe they weren't a big traveler, but they're open to it. They always wanted to travel. Okay, let's apply. If they start acting funny about applying for global entry, probably because they got a past. Okay? But before we get married, you won't get that global entry. So for me, that's another background check that I don't have to do. You just do it yourself. And if you don't have clear, I can put you on my clear. I'm okay with that, all right? I'm very generous in a relationship, okay? But let's see if you can get your global entry. I don't know if he can apply for global entry because he has a green card. How's that work? You can get global entry with a green card, right? I don't know. Can someone answer that in the chat? But if you are going into the second line, you got to go into the second line, which I'm not going to judge, because if you're dating someone from abroad, depending on what country they're from, that might be the only option. All right, that might be the only option. All right, boo, I'll see you by baggage claim. I'll see you at baggage claim. I'm terrible. I mean, certain countries, you do have to go into the second line regardless, right? Depending on the country. All right, this just got awkward. All right, so she talks more about that, and she's like, the fifth wife. And apparently there was a fake marriage. The signs were there. Oh, Pageant Mommy says, yes, you can, Kempire. Thank you. So if you have a green card, you can get global entry. You don't even have to pay for global entry, but I would require my boo to get global entry because that's my background check for you. Me too, girl. T says, I got TSA, pre-check, and clear. Me too. I love clear because you don't just use clear in the airport. You can use clear at these venues and things like that. I didn't realize that until recently. Like, you can use clear at Madison Square Garden. You can use it at Barclays. So, and if you have American Express, there's another option there too. There's all kinds of options. Boo, you got any of those options? See, that's another way for me to check this billionaire status. If you've been around, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway. All right. Let's move on. So she talked about being the fifth wife, but she says that there was a fake marriage. The signs were there. First of all, you're the fourth wife, because if there was a fake marriage, unless she meant like a marriage for his green card. Look, I need more on that. A fake marriage, but we didn't get any more details on that. People need to ask these questions at the reunion. When you say fake marriage, what exactly was a fake marriage? Did he get married for a green card or something like that? Or was it not a real marriage? But the signs were there. All right. Then she talks about on the cameras that she saw that Simon had some women in the house. Here's the thing, though. Again, this is what the alarm bells in my head went off was, did Simon have women in the house after you guys separated or while you guys were together? Because, I mean, regardless, he's still a married man. But still. All right. So they had that little kiki. They talk about Simon crashing out on social media, talking about their Rolls Royces. Production was a little shady with the labels under the Rolls Royces. They put Kenya's, and then Kenya's was it like purchased in like 2020. Like, I don't know if they said that she purchased it herself. I think they did, because that's why it's in my brain. And then they put under Portia's, was Simon gifted it to her in 2022 or something like that. Does she still have the Rolls Royce? I think so. Like, I don't see it. I didn't remember seeing any sort of report about them confiscating that. I know he was trying, and he was crashing out on social media about it because he had gifted that to her. I really wonder what this divorce is going to look like. Portia has said that she wants him out of ICE so that they can finalize their divorce. I wonder if she gets that in the divorce. I know she gets 50-50 of this house, according to the prenup, and he's fighting that. So Simon must have some sort of money in order to buy this house. Oh, okay, excuse me. Beauty Stick says, I hold 2 passports. I can pick the queue at the airport depending on my destination and if there's a visa waiver depending on which passport I use. All right, excuse me. Must be nice. I mean, luckily, for most Americans, a lot of the different airports it's usually easy for most of us to get through, and you don't necessarily require a visa depending on where you're going. All right. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about Kelly and her restaurants. But before we get to that, let's talk about my skincare. You all have asked, Kempire, drop the skincare routine. Well, now I am. I am so excited about our new partnership with Buttah. I've been following the company for many, many years, and I know a lot of you are probably already familiar with their products. So I've been able to try their products for the last few weeks, and I have to say, I am utterly impressed. I'm not going to go through my nightly routine or my other routines because I have a morning routine, a nightly routine, I have a weekly routine, I have a monthly routine. in regards to my skincare. So there is a whole system, but you have to start somewhere. So why not start now? First of all, let me talk about my morning routine. So I gotta wash my face. You have to find the right cleanser, all right? And not all cleansers are made the same. Start with a cleanser, gives me a good lather. Once I'm doing that, another key component to your skincare, don't use the towel that you use to dry your hands or to dry your body on your face. They have these high quality, silky soft towels. You use it once and you throw it out. I love that. It's going to change your skincare routine. Once you're done with that, put on vitamin C. This is a game changer. For those that say, Kempire, your skin is glowing. Game changer. Vitamin C. I will also say this. Because I've tried so many different skincare products, I can tell quality versus not so quality. Quality so far from everything I've tried. There's also a very key component. And then after you've done your vitamin C, it's time to put on your moisturizer. Cocoa Shea Revitalizing Cream. I love this because I've tried some other companies and I'm not going to name them. Some are too thin or too thick or too scenty. This is perfect. And I do not say that lightly, and I'm not saying that because it's a partnership. I would tell you the truth. If you know me, you know that. Perfect consistency. When I've used this literally today, this woman that I met, she's like, oh my God, you have perfect skin. I can't tell you the amount of times that people tell me that, but here's the final and key component, sunscreen. Very important. And I love the fact that they sent me the perfect system. Sunscreen, tinted mineral sunscreen, SPF 30. SPF 90 you don't need. I don't know why they sell it, but it is what it is. So we've partnered with Buttah, and I hope that you will get you a little something. For those that have been asking, what is your skincare routine? I just gave you my morning routine. Stay tuned for the nightly routine and other things. More information on our partnership is available at buttaskin.com/Kempire. All that information will be available in the description. Thanks, Buttah. Welcome back, guys. Yes, someone said in the chat, Push Forward with T says, Kempire gonna have us buying Buttah. Why not? Especially in this age where they're ending DEI at all these other places. Why not support Black businesses directly? And it's the president of Buttah is a Black woman. More information on Buttah will be available in the description. Get your 10% off there. All right, so Kelly, Kelly's trying to open another restaurant. I saw a picture today of Kelly's husband. She talks more about that when she has that scene with Britt Edie. But in this particular situation, the Queen of Waffles is opening up another restaurant. Apparently, she had one at another location, but her husband ended up closing it. So I'm wondering, what her husband did in the past in regards to his work. Was that an investment that they both, I'm assuming that they both were invested in, both their names were on it, because she also alleged that he took money from their business account. She says that he closed that business, but she has one now in McDonough. Okay. So she's looking to open up this other restaurant, and her project manager along with her publicist are there. He comes in and he expresses concerns to her, like, we're not going to be able to open when you want to open. We have things that need to get done. And he's listing all the things that need to happen. And she's like, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, you're talking about your husband stole money from you. You had to sue him to get the money. This is later on in the episode. You have all your kids. You don't necessarily get support from your husband unless it's court ordered. Like, how are we paying for all of this? And I get it. Maybe the other business is doing extremely well. But there was something happening here that I was just like, I think Kelly has a tell. I don't know I'm waiting just to kind of figure out what's happening here. But I'm sort of like, is this going to happen? Or is this going to be a situation where the end of the season's here and it's still not open? Because remember, they said July they wanted to open this restaurant. And I'm like, okay, I was in Atlanta in July. I don't know if it was open. And T says, and the 17 bags. So I don't know, but only time will tell. First of all, those of you in Atlanta, is the second location open? You guys could tell me. We have people in Atlanta. Is the second location open? Yeah, exactly, McDonough. I did, because isn't that where Mariah Huck's social media studio space is located? That's the area that is located. She's Real Housewives of McDonough is not Atlanta. That's far away from the city. I mean, it's still a business. Rebecca says no, it's not open. Jean Grey on TikTok says no, it's not open. Anyway, I was too focused on the project manager being fine. And I was like, well, girl, sometimes what you had in the past, if it wasn't the best looking, what you upgrade to. But again, this is her project manager, so she probably shouldn't do that. Fine. But I was like, he's fine. That's all I could care about. So we had that scene with Kelly at her restaurant. Apparently, there are some issues before she can get this place open. Basically, people are saying that it's not open yet. And she wanted this to open in July. But again, if you know anything about the restaurant business, it's not easy. First of all, getting it open and then keeping it open. Look at Candy's restaurant in Blaze. That's closed now. The restaurant business is not easy. Here in New York City, there are thousands of restaurants that open and close all the time. All right. What? Panthetta says the PM is Don Juan's man camp. Really? Okay, Don Juan. Allegedly, I'll say, because I don't know for a fact. That's what Panthetta says. The project manager is Don Juan's man. Okay. All right. Now y'all dropping tea in the chat. Okay. All right. All right. Let's move on from that scene. I don't want to focus on scenes that weren't that great. Speaking of not that great, Britt's scene with her husband. He's always giving the screw face to the camera. Anyone else notice that? He's always giving the screw face to the camera. He seemed crotchety, but not in a good way. See, that's a perfect example. What we see with Angela and Charles Oakley, he's crotchety like the Todd father. But with a Mike, he's crotchety in another way. Like, why am I here? Why am I with you? So Britt gives us an update on who she is. This was like her introduction to us. She's in insurance. She has her own insurance business. That's how she met her husband. She talks about their courtship and how they went to Vegas together, but he's like, we're not sleeping together. All right. But she said they had such a good time and they got married during the pandemic. Well, good for them. There are a lot of people that got with people during the pandemic and they're not with them anymore. After everybody was outside again, a lot of those relationships ended up breaking up. So shout out to them that they still have kept it together. He just seems so mean every time. He's just mean mugging, but he could just have resting, bee face. Always mean mugging. But she's getting frustrated with him because they're building a home and she wants to have a baby. Her mom is there and her mom wants them to have a baby. And he's just like, he's very whimsical about it. He's very just nonchalant about it. And she's like, you can't be so, nonchalant about a baby. Do you think he doesn't want a baby? Like, that to me is the question. Like, do you want to have a child? Because she seems like she's all about it. Britt, why are they lighting your nose that way? Y'all notice in her confession, it's sort of like this like mark on her nose. And we know it looks like she has a nose job. But there's like a shadow on the top of her nose. Every time I see it, I'm like annoyed by it. I'm just like, why? Who did the makeup and like the light? Like, I hate it. Amanda says he don't like her. I don't know what he like, but to me, that's a perfect example of what I see with Angela and Charles being like, yeah, he might be crotchety, but I think that they have a healthy relationship. But I'm looking at Britt and Mike and I'm like, he look mad to be there. And they're going into the sauna downstairs. The mother asked him, like, are you going to join us? She's like, no, I don't like the heat. Okay, all right. All right. I'm not sure how Britt's mother feels about him. Because he seems a little crotchety. She's talking about having a baby. He doesn't seem like he wants to have a baby. But okay, fine. So they, according to Britt, that they're going to IVF so that they can choose the sex of the baby. All right, fine. Hey, we got a little bit of Britt from that scene. Shamia meets with Shiloh's surrogate, Shadina. We know Shadina. We remember Shadina was the surrogate for Candy. That's how Shamia met her. I loved this conversation because to me, again, and I'm not surprised by this, Shamia is giving us very authentic in every scene that she's in. Okay. Even when she's defending Portia, I do think that she's authentically defending Portia. I don't think that's for show. Okay. But this scene, because they're meeting at, I didn't know that Shadina had like an actual surrogacy business. And in that business, she works with Dr. Jackie. Dr. Jackie and her are partners in the surrogacy business. And I forgot that's how Candy got connected, was through Dr. Jackie. So Shadina, as you know, had gotten cancer while she was pregnant with Shiloh. So first of all, Shamia felt, what's the word? She felt guilty because she wasn't sure if the fact that Shadina was carrying the baby may have caused the cancer because, hormones and things like that. Shadina's like, no, they said that that's not what it was. And Shadina feels guilty because as a surrogate, your job is to carry a healthy baby if you can. So in some ways, Shadina feels like a failure. And I said, this is a realest scene that we're getting. Because I feel like those are real emotions on both sides. Shamia feels guilty. And you're seeing what Shiloh is going through. And then I understand where Shadina would come from and be like, I was supposed to give you a healthy baby and I wasn't able to do it. So they talk about that, but they also talk about Shamia and other babies. So apparently Shamia has, 4 other embryos, 2 boys, 2 girls. So she wants to have a boy. So she's coming to Shadina to start that process of having a boy because they want to expand the family. This is also where they talk about how Black women are treated at facilities and maternal mortality. They talk about that and how she was treated because apparently Shamia had ended up getting pregnant recently and losing the child. But she talked about her experience in the ER and how they did not take her seriously. So now she's going to try again to have a baby, but she's going to do it via surrogate. First of all, the amount of conversations that were, just the topics that were covered in just this one scene, from, how Black women are treated when they're pregnant and the dangers of that, especially in our society, about the guilt that each of them were feeling because of the last surrogacy situation that happened. And now she's talking about getting pregnant again. Like, there's just so much that was talked about and covered in the scene. For me, it was probably like my favorite scene of the season so far, because there's only been two episodes, but of the episode. Anne says IVF does increase risk of cancer. Well, look, so they talk more about, they talk more about the next steps. So I don't know because remember, this is being filmed months ago. So I'm wondering what the next thing, the next baby, probably, if they had started this process when this was filmed, probably the person's pregnant already. But of course, she probably doesn't want to talk about it yet. Foxy says, how old is Shamia? Remember, they were celebrating her 42nd birthday? So she's in her 40s. It's not impossible for her to get pregnant. You see Bose is trying to do that on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. However, it does become a lot more dangerous as you get older. Guys, we're almost at 900 likes. Don't forget to like the video. It's easy. It's free. Yes, Beauty Stick says, all my Caribbeans, please apply for your passports. You can come to Ghana and other African countries without a visa. I need to do that. I do need to do that because I could get myself a Jamaican passport and be fine going to Ghana without a visa. I don't know what the process is for Americans to get a visa there, but if I can get there for free, why not? Tish, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Tish says, Drew wants success by any means necessary. I believe Candace that she was trying to work with her people behind her back, just like Portia. Same. I agree 100%. And that's what stood out to me. I was like, I remember what Candace said. Now I want Candace to talk on it. So when y'all get Candace in front of y'all, ask her the question. Damn it. Nadia, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a tourist. He said, it's great to see Portia with girls close to her age. They won't baby her and will hold her accountable for her lies. Also, Porsha and Drew equals pot and kettle. Love that. You're right. I feel, and especially because people are coming in at the same age bracket as she is. So she's not coming as the young, like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing. So she's coming in as an age equivalent. Professor Sagittarius, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. Portia wanted to beat Shamia. That's why she ignored signs. And beat meaning that she wanted to have her own African with his own money and private jet and things like that. But you know what? To me, this is just a sign that Shamia is really a good person. Like, genuinely. Because she's been surrounded by blessings in a lot of different ways. And she found herself a good man because she's a good person. But take that as you will in regards to what I mean by that. Okay, peach juices. Gary, thank you so much for the super chat. Gary says, Portia knew about Simon's shady dealings, just like her friend Phaedra knew about Apollo's. Exactly. And thank you so much for the super chat. And says, we have British/Netherlands and a third passport and have global entry. It's available to passport holders of allied countries. Thank you. I couldn't remember. I don't see why it wouldn't be offered to green card holders. Happy Monday. I just don't know if it would be offered to Nigeria. So it says anyone that is from Nigeria and maybe a green card holder, weigh in. And not that it's important. Man's about to get sent back. But I know, I just want to know. You never know. Keith, thank you so much for this. Keith, you keep changing your photo. Keith, thank you for the super chat. Keith says, Simon is Portia's karma for trying to keep up with Shamia. Just because you have the ingredients, African, doesn't mean you'll have the flavor. Keith. Queen Bee, thank you so much for the super chat and for being a member. Queen says, Portia needs to partner with Tubi and put out that docudrama series or movie. She can even ask Candy to produce it. Y'all are so shady on this Monday. Okay. JMW, thank you so much for the super chat. JMW says, allegedly, Fallon was in a business arrangement that might have been the fake marriage. It was weird for her to get pregnant by the broke help. Oh, I mean, when you think about it, and then he tried to play victim later on social media, Simon? Scarlett, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Scarlett says, Britt needs a neti pot, sounding all nasally and congested. Maybe that's just how she sounds? Not a neti pot. Y'all are so shady today. Sarita, thank you so much for the super chat. Sarita says, Britt's husband giving Nico from Love and Hip Hop. Oh, Atlanta. And Britt knows is giving Dwight Eubanks from RHOA. Formerly, okay? Because Dwight had his Note 6 on Botch, and he looks great. Dwight was at the RHOA premiere party. He looks great. So you can get it fixed, Angela. Sorry. and Britt, you can get it fixed. That's why it's kind of like, don't mess with your face. I mean, you can mess with your face because every once in a while they'll get it right, but do you want to risk it? Look at Demi Moore. Look at Brad Pitt. I know you're probably thinking, what? Yep. They got some good work. I don't know if they got nose jobs, but definitely got some facelifts and stuff like that. Look at Caroline Stanberry. Like, you just got to do your research. Millie, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Millie says, comparison is a thief of all joy. Ooh, that's a word. I just watched someone on TikTok that was talking about comparison. Wemmy on TikTok. Comparison is a thief of all joy. Portia needs to hear this. Well, someone nip it and send it to Portia. Send it in a DM. I can't. I'm blocked. It's funny because it's true. All right. Let's move on. Let me get to the other stuff that I want to talk about. I'll briefly do it. If you're a member of the channel, though, not me getting smaller, please hold. If you're a member of the channel, I have already posted the call-in link for Royal Court members and senior royals, so you guys have first access to the call-in link. Let me lock this. That way this doesn't move. Okay, there we go. All right, and happy St. Patrick's Day to those that celebrate. Are you guys making corned beef and hash? No. It will be leftover Indian for me. Okay. All right. So Kelly and Britt hang out. They seem like they really like each other. They're both newbies. So they chill and they hang out. Look. All right. I'm not going to say all the things I want to say, but we'll move on. So Britt talks about planning her wedding because they had got married during the pandemic. Kelly says that she only asked Portia. Because remember, I don't know how they went from Portia confronting Kelly about her asking about the whole Simon of it all and taking that woman's man. it went on to the whole Drew of it all. So she said she was only asking the question that everybody wanted to know. Agreed, Kelly. Portia thought that she was going to come into the season and no one was going to ask. And you see how quickly they moved on. They never went back. Okay? But they should go back. Because I think now they're sort of like swept it under the rug. All right. So Britt brings up Kenya and asking about why was Kenya asking about my missing wedding band? And when they replayed the scene, I don't think it was that big of a deal for Britt to bring it up again later. You know what I mean? Because again, I said this last week, I'll say it again this week. I thought she was just engaged because I'm used to seeing a wedding ring with a wedding band. It's not shade, it's a question. And maybe it came across like shade from Kenya, fine. But I'm glad she asked because I was sort of like, where's the wedding band? Are you guys married? I mean, it's a beautiful ring, but I'm used to seeing a wedding band with an engagement ring or just a wedding band. I'm asking a question, okay? And the fact that she brought it up, I was sort of like, okay. Why are you so bothered? But remember last week we were talking about how the timelines are not timelining? I have to say something, guys. Yes, we kept on seeing that they had filmed. We're watching the premiere episode and they're talking about this was filmed 3 months ago. 3 months ago? And this is the premiere episode? But remember when I said Kenya's energy towards Britt was weird? But remember when Kenya was like, oh, nice meeting you guys? We did not see Kenya's face. Remember? We talked about these types of editing tricks before. I don't know if it's true. I'm just putting out the conspiracy theory. We did not see Kenya's mouth move when that was said. For all we know, Kenya could have said that somewhere else during the season, and they just added it in there. Or they used AI. Look, allegedly, these housewives sign off on contracts that say that they can do that. I don't know if I have to say allegedly. Reality TV stars have said that before. So when you go back to that scene, we don't see Kenya's mouth say that. And I already told you, the energy between Kenya and Britt was giving like they had already met and they weren't liking each other. So I was like, wait a minute. And again, they were filming for 3 months before. Like they were already filming 3 months before. But I told you, filming when Kenya left, literally, they had only been filming for 3 weeks that we knew of. So something's not right with the timeline. Okay? I'm just pointing it out. Something's not right with the timeline. Especially because I think next week or the following week might be our last time seeing Kenya on the show. Okay? Shanti says, I doubt production would do Kenya any favors. It's not necessarily a favor to Kenya. It could be them when it comes to the timeline of things and editing Kenya out or editing Kenya down. So it benefits them to make it seem like, oh, well, no, Kenya just met her. Because we're only going to keep Kenya in for a certain period of time. So it works to their benefit, not Kenya's benefit. All right. So they talked up. Britt brings up Kenya. I was like, But then again, her bringing up Kenya made me go like, I feel like something more happened. But maybe we'll never know. All right. Then Kelly confirms that her ex. So we find out more about what went down between Kelly and her ex-husband, or now ex-husband. At the time of filming, I don't believe they were even divorced yet. I believe it was right at the end of filming or after filming that they ended up divorced. Okay. All right. Royal Court members and senior royals, I've dropped the call link for you guys. Team Kempire members, I'll be dropping the call link for you guys shortly. Okay. All right. So Kelly brings up the fact that her ex cheated on her. If you see the picture of the ex, but it always be the ugly ones. So she says that her ex cheated on her. She also said that he took $500,000 out of their business account. She had to sue him. She didn't say whether or not she got that money back, though. All right? She didn't say that she was able to get that money back. Okay. For some of you that are looking for the call-in link, you might be a Team Kempire member because it's definitely posted for Royal Court members and above. If you're a Team Kempire member, I'll be dropping the call link in a second. Okay. All right. See, benefits. All right, shout out to our Royal Court members and our senior royals. We appreciate your support. We appreciate everyone's support, but you get first access, all right? And we already have some of those members backstage. Hey, Miss Bernice. Hey, Shayla. Hey, Cynthia. They're backstage. We appreciate y'all. All right, back to this. So we learned, okay, this was actually kind of scary. She talked about physical abuse. Okay. So she also talked about sometimes that she would sleep in her closet during her marriage. She said that she deserved an award for, people thinking that they were like the perfect couple and no one knew what was going on in her house. She said they had to call the police at certain times. Damn. Mm. So I feel like we're going to get a little bit more about what's going on with Kelly. I feel like the Bravo investigators are failing us right now because I need to know more about this man. Who was this man? I'm surprised that we don't know a lot more, but I saw earlier today that on social media that we do actually have a picture of him. We see the side of his face. That's all we needed. I don't know if we could take him full on. Just saying. Come on. I don't know if we could.
Fuck your flowers.
Oh, my goodness. All right. Move on. Shamia, Angela, and Drew end up working out together. All right. But before Shamia gets there, Angela and Drew are talking about her working with Dennis and how that came together. And what I can appreciate about Angela, she's going to speak her mind. And that's a Taurus. We're going to speak our mind whether you like it or not. And she's just like, there are so many producers in Atlanta. Why would you work with Portia's baby daddy? All right. All right. And she's like, Dennis has been such an advocate for me and Ralph's relationship because apparently Dennis and Ralph have a friendship. Do you guys think that Drew and Dennis did anything? I'm starting to think they didn't do anything, but I definitely think that she wanted to use Dennis as a part of her storyline for the season. But I'm still not sure about that. Because I can't believe a thing that comes out of Drew's mouth. All right. So Drew gets emotional. Okay, hear me out. And I'm not saying that Drew can't be emotional about the situation going on with Ralph. That should be an emotional thing. They were together for a long time. They have 2 kids together. It's a messy situation. But he's a fraud too. She's talking about how he's asking for alimony. He's asking for percentages in her businesses. What businesses? What businesses does Drew have? I'm asking because based on what we found out, Drew doesn't have businesses. She's brand ambassador to things. Nothing wrong with that. That's a nice, cute check. But is it he wants percentage in her business? I guess her enterprise or whatever. So they both were weird, though. They both moved funny. They both were weird. So she gets really emotional talking about how he wants alimony. He wants percentages in her business. He wants child support. That says to me, the way y'all were making it seem like, oh, he's this tech executive and he's making all this money. That says to me, he wasn't making all that money. We all were like, Tommy, what the hell do you do for work? You saw how quickly he had to move to the basement out of his office. I guess he don't need that office anymore. So she talked about that, and then Shamia arrives. And then they talk about the whole situation about Shamia bringing it up. Angela's sort of like, why were you being Portia's assistant by bringing it up? So it gets heated between Shamia and Angela about Shamia bringing it up and being the assistant, Portia's assistant. And in the confessional, Drew is just like, Shamia is Portia's lapdog, which people have said about Shamia for a long time. And I'm going to have to say, her on Watch What Happens Live was definitely giving still lapdog. The fact that Shamia, when asked about that, could only, like, her defense of being Portia's lapdog wasn't a defense. She's like, hey, well, if I'm going to be someone's lapdog, I would want to be Kelly's because Kelly's dog. And then she's like, rip, rip. I was like, oh my God, this is so cringy. I was like, Shamia, no. No, first of all, that wasn't even a clapback. You just basically doubled down that you are the lapdog. And it definitely was giving that on Watch What Happens Live. You could just defend everything that Portia has said and done over the years, even including they didn't talk about this, not attending her wedding. Season 10, go watch season 10. Okay, you don't have to watch season 10. You can see clips. But Portia was never a friend, ever. I'm trying to find an example when Portia was a real friend to Shamia. Like Shamia's been a friend to Portia. And this show is just going to highlight it even more. So buckle up, Shamia. I think you will be nothing but a friend to Portia, but I can't say that she'll do the same. Jasmine says, Kempire, the barking took me out. I cringe so bad. I had to watch it again before this live, and I was like, God. I'm like, first of all, it wasn't a defense. And I was just like, oh, damn, Shamia. Trying to root for you, girl, but you keep making me cringe. Okay. So Angela and Shamia get into it, and they don't resolve it because you see in next week's episode, they're going to get into it. We'll talk about that next week. But basically, that's how they end their conversation. And Drew is just like, yeah, Shamia's Portia. When you look up the definition of lapdog, you're going to see Shamia's photo. And look, normally, because, people love to say that about someone defending their friend. They'll say that about, Garcelle on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. They'll say that about anytime you're defending a friend. I will say this. I don't think there's anything wrong with defending your friend, but what we've seen with Shamia, she will defend every wrong thing that Portia has done over the years, including things that she's done against Shamia. So now you're just looking like a lapdog. You're looking less than smart. But okay. Logan says, and all that singing. She's trying to push. She's got, okay. Shamia, you're welcome. Shamia has a new single out. Shamia has a nice voice. Shamia has a new single out called Never Had. Have you guys listened to it? What'd you think of it? Tell me your rating from 1 to 10 in the chat. She can sing. I will say, though, Drew has better songs. So the songs that Drew has put out, I'm like, okay, Drew, I see you lying, but I still you. All right. Let's get to this final scene. All right. So if you are a Team Kempire member, I'm going to drop the call link for you guys as well. Live chat will drop the call link for you guys once we... How many people? Mods, Kingsguards, you let me know how many likes we should get to. We're at over 1,000, which I appreciate. But we have nearly 3,000 of you here. Okay. So like the video. It's easy. It's free. You can even like it on your television. All right. All right. Mixed reviews about the song. Jamaki says she has a happy heart. I like it. Yeah, she definitely seems happy. All right. And she definitely is authentic, which I can appreciate about Shamia. All right. Tiff says, you're a Shamia hater and you're a Kempire hater. Why are you here? This is a review. Just because I don't like everything that Shamia does not make me a hater. It makes me real. Unless you're under Shamia, is this your burner account? Yeah, I got to come up with something new. Something a little bit more witty. Very much like what I feel like Shamia should have done during Watch What Happens Live when they called her a lapdog. Come a little bit more witty. You're a hater. You're biased. How about we try something else? How about we try something that actually will land and that's actually funny? But keep watching. We appreciate the engagement. Fool. All right, Portia. So Portia's with PJ. They're at this place where, you can play with all the different things. She's playing with PJ. Fine. Dennis arrives, so she sits down with Dennis. Did y'all notice an energy between Portia and Dennis? I noticed an energy that was interesting. I don't know what it was, but I noticed an energy. Okay. So they sit down and they talk about the Drew situation. And Portia is like, he's saying that Dennis is saying it's strictly a business relationship. It's nothing more. Ralph is the homie. Fine. And then she's like, well, she's making it seem like you're her Lord and Savior. Well, she did say angel on earth. And he's just like, huh? She's making it out to be something else. So do you guys think that maybe Drew has feelings for Dennis, but he doesn't have the feelings for her? I don't know. Pure Luxury Salon says the hug said it all. Okay, so I wasn't the only one. I was like, what is happening? So they end up talking more about the Drew stuff and what's going on there. And Portia's like, I don't like it. And for Dennis, he's like, yeah, she was supposed to put the album out. It's supposed to be, this is great promotion. And Portia's just like, what promotion? He's thinking like this is a business. That's what he's thinking. Okay. Rachel says Dennis is not attractive enough for Drew. Come on. I agree, but it kind of, based off of their separate scenes, it felt like it was more business for him, which he could just be saying that. But she seemed like she's a little smitten. Drew does seem like she's a little smitten with Dennis. I don't know why, but okay. All right. And that would be a downgrade looks-wise, a downgrade from Ralph. But then when you think about Ralph's personality, is it? So, So they talk about that. He says it's strictly business, but Drew is saying it's something else. Dennis says that, Ralph is his homeboy. There's nothing to it. But he's like, for him, it's more business. Like, this is promotion. So Portia's like taken back by that. And the conversation really doesn't lead anywhere because she's like, you're my baby's father. This could complicate things. She talks about more about this in the confessional in regards to how this could complicate things for her. And for me, it makes sense why she would not want Drew filming with her baby's father. Now she has to have him on the show and talk about this. I think it's two things. That she could be using Dennis for her own storyline, Portia. But also the fact is, if they do have a falling out, there is an issue. Now he's shooting with Drew. He could talk about it with Drew, tell his side. So she doesn't have control in the situation. I don't blame her. But she gets emotional. She gets up and she goes to the back and she talks to production. And she's just like, she doesn't understand why she doesn't get any loyalty. When Portia had to utter the words loyalty, I said, Portia, loyalty? You of all people in a variety of situations over the last how many years that we've known you. We're not going to even talk about what happened with the whole Simon stuff. If we just go back to season 10 with your situation with Shamia, when we talk about maybe the current state of your relationship with Shamia, loyalty, you expect loyalty, and you seem like the most disloyal person. I haven't really seen a loyalty from Portia. And if you remember Portia's family of lies and her relationship with Dennis and how she treated Dennis's mother and how she was ready to knuck if you buck with Dennis's mother, like, girl. So these little tears that she's crying back, away from Dennis, he doesn't, deserve my tears. I did find it funny, though, when they were in the Rolls Royce and she was talking, he was like, we got the hot mic on. He's like, yeah, a hot mic now. Because he's filming. He's filmed with her multiple times on this show and on the spinoff. So he knows a hot mic, okay? But she talks about how this makes it a difficult situation for her. I can see that. I can definitely understand where Portia's coming from, but don't come at us with no one's loyal to her. Portia is perpetually a little girl in a lot of ways. And I think that's why it's hard sometimes for people to kind of look at her as a grown adult, but she's 40-something years old, but her energy is very immature, emotionally immature. Because she didn't get her way, so she gets up, she stomps away. She didn't stomp away, and she's crying in the back. And I wonder if those tears were to make production feel sorry for her. I don't know. Wait, rewind. Back to the scene with Drew crying with Angela at the gym. Sometimes it's hard to take Drew seriously, especially because she lies. Like what Cynthia said in her confessional. With Drew, it's hard to tell. Drew has fibbed a time or two or three. So when I see Drew crying in that scene with Angela, I'm like, Drew is an actress. And I was just like, she could be acting right now. You just never know with Drew because she lies so damn much. But Portia, I don't know. Maybe Portia really felt away the fact that he did not see her side of it. But we do see later on that he's filming confessionals with Portia. So clearly for me, Portia wanted Dennis on her side to be her part of her storyline. Because remember, coming into the season, Portia was more focused on, I'm going to be Mrs. Simon Gobadia. That fell apart. And now she's had to kind of pick up the pieces. And trust and believe, the network is propping Shamia up as the star of the show. And I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to affect the relationship between Shamia and Portia. And Shamia is going to see, and Shamia is still riding for Portia, but Shamia is going to see that Portia is going to feel a way about that. She may say that she doesn't, but she's going to feel a way about that. And I'm not saying that's right, but if you were a loyal friend, Shamia has definitely been loyal to Portia. Queen D, thank you so much for being a member and for the super chat. Queen says, trust your body. I thought I could be tough and ended up in emergency surgery for an ectopic pregnancy. That's with all Black female practice. Yeah, it's sad. It's very, very sad. But it literally, this is not just us saying it, guys. There are literal numbers proving how Black women are treated and Black people in general when going to the hospital. Breezy B, thank you so much for the super chat. Breezy B says, Portia doesn't want Drew to film with Dennis because Dennis can fact check her. We know she lies. She wants to have full control of the narrative. Very true. Dennis was also the star of Portia's family show. He was her main storyline, that whole situation. Vince, thank you so much for the super chat. Vince says, now y'all know Kenya was hazing. Just like Giselle questioned Monique about how many homes she has, it was a shady inquiry rooted in newbie hazing. I definitely think it was a somewhat shady inquiry. I definitely think it was a little shady, especially with the remarks following the ring thing. But for me, that was my initial thought too when I saw it. But again, I'm innocent. I was thinking like, oh, did she say she's married or she's engaged? I don't see a wedding band. Again, not everyone does that, but I didn't see it as hazing. That's a big word, but the follow-up questions probably could be considered a somewhat hazing and shading. Queen B, thank you so much for another super chat. Queen B says, Britt shouldn't have brought the ring non-moment back up because her husband's behavior and commentary towards her has us squinting and sipping loud. Paralegally exhausted. Love that name. I think I say that every time you comment. Paralegally exhausted says, Dennis loves TV as much as Porsha and Drew, which is annoying to me. Anytime any of these folks come on this reality show like this, I hate the thirst. Thirsty is so unattractive to me. Maybe as a tourist, I hate thirsty people. Keith, thank you so much for another super chat. Keith says, I'll probably have a different pick by Married to Medicine, but I definitely think that Drew either had her back or jaw rearranged by Dennis, if you know what I mean. Ew. I want to think about that. V, thank you so much for the super chat. V says, it was hard to watch Shamia on Watch What Happens Live. Very cringy. Eee. CV, thank you so much for the super chat. CV says, Shamia reminds me of that episode on Martin when Biggie came on and Gina and Pam was doing the most. Damn, you're really taking us back. But that's Shamia's personality. Shamia, that is who we've known Shamia to be. Thank you so much, Hater. I think her. Sorry, not Hater. Thank you so much for the super chat. So you sent another one. Her says, Portia, the only one making it more because it makes her uncomfortable. But again, if this was your baby's father coming on your reality show, how would you feel? Look, I try to keep an open mind. Right, Peach Juices? Doreen says, a lot of people I don't know why they're waiting, but sometimes they do this. Are we ever getting the taglines? Where are the taglines? I'm pretty sure we'll get them soon. If not this week, definitely next week. So stay tuned. Vince, thank you so much for the super chat. Vince says, Drew be lying, Drew be acting, Drew be Delulu. I like that. Drew do be lying. Like it's annoying at certain points, though. I will say that. Okay. Dia says, right. Shamia is consistent, if nothing else. I mean, I do believe that Shamia is authentically herself. Okay. But like Fumi, can I just call you Fumi? Fumi Leo says, Shamia was awkward on Watch What Happens Live. I think she loves this moment, this opportunity. I think for Shamia, she's got the husband, she's got the money, she's got the family. But I think for Shamia, she's always wanted to be a star. But even before she had any of the, you saw her career. She started out in music and she's always wanted to be a star. And this is her opportunity. And please understand, Bravo is going to make her feel like the star. Okay? Especially when we're talking about Real Housewives of Atlanta. All right. Exactly. Bree says, just call her Drew B. Drew B lying, Drew B Delulu, all of it. All right. Thanks for tuning in to Kempire here on the Kempire Radio podcast. As always, don't forget to give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. And for everything Kempire Radio, head on over to KempireRadio.com.